Awesome. Okay, so welcome to Down to Basics, First Steps in Community Engagement. We are so excited to share space with everyone over the next 50 minutes together, odd amount of time. So we're really excited to do that. And we'll have a few stragglers, so I'm hoping everyone can hear us okay. So I'm going to go ahead and start with introductions for you all to learn more about who is going to be sharing space with you. I'll frame the conversation a little bit for everyone, and then I'm going to pass it over to two of my colleagues. So welcome, everyone. My name is Heather Polonsky. I use she, her, they pronouns, and I'm the Assistant Director for Civic Engagement within the Office of Civic Engagement and Social Responsibility. And I work with two lovely people, and Chris, I'm going to pass it to you to introduce yourself.
It's always like a game of like who's gonna go first. So I'll go first. My name is Carice Lawson. I use she, her, hers. I am the coordinator for civic engagement in the Office of Civic Engagement and Social Responsibility. So I'm very excited to share space with you all.
Thank you, Carice. Hi, everybody. My name is Shannon Cheek. I use she, her, hers pronouns. I am a coordinator for student community engagement in the same office. I'll hand it back to you, Heather.
Yeah, so that is part of our team that's going to be talking with everyone today. And so while I'm kind of framing the conversation for us, we would really appreciate folks introducing themselves in the chat. If you could share what student org you're affiliated with and what brought you to this session. Are you looking for community service partnership opportunities? Are you looking to understand more of what volunteering locally looks like? Are you looking for continued connections to learn more about, partnership processes? Whatever the reason that brought you to this session, if you could put that in the chat so that we have an understanding of some of the topics and reasons why people are here. So again, if you could pop in the chat what student org you're affiliated with so we know who's in the space with us and what brought you to this session. So make that as short or long as you'd like. And while we wait for some of those responses to start coming in, I can share a bit about what we're hoping to cover together over the next bit of time. So we're going to start this session off with just talking about some of the basics. What does it mean to be part of community engagement? What are we aiming for? What is some of the history of this work, and how can we make those two things, build off of each other? And then we'll talk a bit about how to get started. What are some frameworks and pillars we can use to make this approachable content for folks within your organizations? And then we'll wrap it up with some next steps, some prep work for you all in building these experiences for your student orgs, and some opportunities to get connected either through our office or through the TU campus community. Speaking of our office, like all three of us mentioned, we are part of civic engagement and social responsibility. And the work of this office is to create a thriving culture where TU students and community feel empowered to have the disposition, skills, and knowledge to actively co-create our future, right? Our idea is that we are all part of a shared community. And so being able to be in partnership with those around us in meaningful ways. So that being said, I love the engagement in the chat. I'm seeing folks coming from a bunch of different student groups. We have dancing, we have Tiny Tigers, more dancing teams, public health, Vietnamese Student Association, and quite a few others. So I'm very happy and excited to see some of these reasons for being here. We want to increase engagement. We want to learn more about community partnerships that are available, how to make this an attractive opportunity for folks within my student group, how to have tailored experiences that connect to the passions of my group. So these are all really great reasons for being here. We're so excited to touch on some of those together. And with that, if we're feeling good, I can pass over to Carice to get us started.
All right. So I'm gonna kick us off. So we're gonna talk. You're fine, Heather. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the basics of community engagement. So this is kind of the baseline, a little bit of definitions, and then going a little more into depth about what, good, positive, meaningful community engagement looks like. Next slide, please. Okay, so the definition that we use for community engagement is a collaborative process between individuals, organizations, and communities to address those shared issues, shared ideas through active participation through active participation of community members in decision making to find effective solutions. So for us here at TU, that looks like working with local community organizations alongside faculty, staff, and students to kind of get an understanding of the needs of the various parties involved. We also like to have a heavy focus on the shift of power to the community and not necessarily so much for the institution. And this looks like addressing social issues through listening to the ideas of community members and their needs, also contributing to the public good. That's a really good purpose and benefit of community engagement. Another way that it helps students in the community is through strengthening democratic values and civic responsibility. So like we spoke to a little bit earlier, giving students that idea of what it looks like to be a civic actor. So actually participating in making change in the world around you. And then one of the last benefits is building intentional relationships with community members. That's one of the core pieces of community engagement, is taking the time to build trust, to build community, and get to know and learn as much as you can about the people that you're working with, being vulnerable and open to share about yourself, and just building on the relationship over time. Next slide, please. One of the things that our office, Civic Engagement and Social Responsibility, focuses on heavily is kind of changing the focus of community engagement and what that looks like. Over time, through higher education institutions, there's been a lot of transactional work. And so for us, transactional engagement is based on the act of like giving back or performing service opportunities or volunteer-based interactions. And they often involve engaging in like a one-time activity or attending a one-time event to support a local organization, but it doesn't really focus a lot on that relationship building piece. It doesn't focus heavily on the educational piece to learn about the impact that you could have. So what we want to do now is do a major shift to more transactional opportunities. I'm sorry, more transformational opportunities. And what that looks like is the process of changing the way that we engage with the community around us. So really changing the lens through which we see the community and also in the way that we interact with them. So this looks like, again, that shared power. So giving both sides equal lifting power in those relationships. So actively listening to community members, understanding that they are the experts when it comes to their needs and their desires for their community. Also, again, building trust, being transparent. So for student orgs, that can look like being honest about your capacity for engaging, being open and honest about your availability to support various efforts of the local community organization. And then also mutual accountability. So for your org, it's showing up when you say you're going to show up, communicating effectively with your community partner, and also expecting the same of them, like having that mutually beneficial relationship where everyone is in community with one another, communicating effectively to get the work done. Next slide. So here we have a couple of steps that can help you get started. I know in the chat, we saw quite a few people mentioning that you're here just to get an idea of what it looks like to sort of get involved. And so these are some practical steps that we can take to start the process of finding a community partner, figuring out the ways to best educate yourself ahead of engaging with them, ways to practice when you're working with them, and then also things that you can do after to increase your understanding of what you just participated in. So a great place to start is always with education. That is the baseline of any type of engagement that we like to do here at TU. We like to take time before we work with a community partner to learn more about the organization. We like to learn more about local context. So that's like more information about the community that you'll be working within. So learning more about things that impact them, learn more about what the organization has done to address those impacts, and then also the general history of the population that is being served. And then also doing a little bit of a dive into relevant social justice topics. So typically an organization will have a focus on a social justice issue. They may have a few that they tend to work around. And so as students going to engage with this partner, it's best to learn a little bit about that before you start to work with the community, coming with that general understanding of what the organization is about. This can be done on an individual basis. This can be done collectively with your student org as a whole. There are also other opportunities on campus throughout the semester to engage in various workshops, various trainings, similar to what we're doing here today, just opportunities for you to educate yourself before working with a community partner. The second step is engagement. So this is connecting with a local community partner to learn about their priorities and how your org can support those efforts. So I know some student orgs already have various partners that they work with throughout the academic year. You can also seek help in various ways to identify new community partners. So you can research things that your group is passionate about and find local organizations that focus on that type of work. And then you can find ways to connect with them and start the conversation. And then the last piece that our office focuses heavily on, kind of as the bit to bring everything full circle, is reflection. So this is something that can be done throughout the process of working with a community partner. It can be done at the conclusion of an opportunity with community partner. But reflection is a time to process your thoughts and feelings after you have completed an activity, whether that's you as an individual or collectively with your group. And it's just time for you to think critically about what you've experienced, thinking about the impact that you may have had, think about the impact that the work you've done has had on you. And it's a really great opportunity to build community among your student org and also to continue building community with your partner. Next slide, please. So here oops, I'm sorry.
No, you go.
Oh, okay. So this last section of the basics is just about sustainable partnerships. So the slide that we just talked about, if you take all of those steps in the right way, it will ultimately lead to having a long-term sustainable partnership between you and your community partner. We try to shy away from one-time interactions as much as possible, and we try to build those long-term relationships where we are constantly involved within community, where we can continue to work alongside those community partners to meet the needs of those around us. So some examples of thriving community engagement are having community identified priorities and opportunities. So this means not going in deciding how we're going to help the community. We allow them to speak for themselves. We allow them to share with us the goals and the ideas that they have, and then we work collaboratively on that. Again, recurring connections and communication. So that is just not doing the one-time interaction, having multiple touch points with these community partners throughout the time that you all are here at TU and beyond. And then also ongoing communication. Additionally, intentional training, so those workshops that we touched on a little bit earlier, as well as education, and then just sharing context between your perspective and the perspective of the community partner so that everyone is constantly learning what the partnership can look like. And then a big piece is observing and respecting intercultural differences between yourself and the community. this is something that is very helpful to do during reflection. So educating yourself on the community that you're working with, and then taking time to reflect on the differences that come up for you and how that makes you feel. And then lastly, we saw also in the chat a little bit about people trying to figure out how to get members a little more excited and a little more involved. So cultivating commitment within your organization looks like identifying those topics and passions that your members care about. So all of the student orgs, they have a thing that they do. So whether that's dance, I even saw cybersecurity in the chat, whatever it is that your members love to do and are excited to do, find something that you all can work together on that meets that passion where it is. Also creating those educational opportunities for members to learn more. So whether that's signing your group up for a workshop or asking for support on campus for someone to come and speak with your student group, we're able to do that as well. And then scheduling opportunities that align with the availability. So that goes back to showing up, being committed, being accountable. So finding times that work best to go with your organization to the community partner site or to meet with the community partner and work through ways that you all can get involved. So that's just a little bit about sustainable partnerships, kind of those first steps to take. And now is the perfect time to do that. At the start of the fall semester, start thinking through these things in your first couple of meetings. Learn the passions of your group members. If they have something that they're really excited about, capitalize on that. Now I'm going to pass it over to Carice to talk about some next steps.
Can I also just emphasize one thing that Shannon said? We know this is all very important content and pretty dense, right? We know we're going through it at a quick pace. We understand that this is a very busy time in everyone's lives at the start of the semester. So I just want to emphasize what Shannon said, that we are offering opportunities to meet with student orgs to go over some of this work more personally. We do offer a similar workshop to individual groups. So if this is something that is resonating with you, we'll go over contact information at the end of this, but that's something that I definitely encourage you to bring back to your leadership teams to see if it's a good fit for your org right now.
And now we're gonna move on a little bit to some next steps. As Heather was saying, a lot of this can be overwhelming because it's a lot and we're going at a fast pace. So we want to allow for there to be some very practical things that you can take with you as you move forward in trying to incorporate community engagement in your specific student orgs. So first of all, connect. It's very much at the center of all sustainable community engagement, because it's really about building those mutually beneficial relationships. And with that, you need to make sure to emphasize and prioritize connections. So meeting with your different organization members to identify those shared passions and availability for participation. We cannot emphasize that enough, because even if you have like the goal that you all really love and you're all really excited for it, if there's a lot of conflicts, there's going to be less people who are going to be able to participate in the ways that will actually foster that mutually beneficial relationship that we're trying to encourage with this presentation. So really emphasizing connecting not only with the organizations that you're going to be working with, but also your own organization members, your own club members, making sure that everything works out and you actually have that desire, drive, and availability. Second of all, explore. We don't want this to just be like, okay, we've already done this, we already know. Those are really helpful and they build sustainable relationships, but also allow yourself to explore, get creative, find different of your organization's existing partnerships, and then research forms of new relationships with community partners. We definitely always want to encourage maintaining the relationships you already have, but also giving yourself a chance to do something new as well. And last but definitely not least of this prep work that we have lined out is preparation. the way that we have transformational engagement with your community requires some preparation, right? You need to plan those meaningful pre-education opportunities for the members to learn more about the community before engaging, so that you aren't doing a disservice to the community that you're trying to help, right? We talked a little bit about understanding the differences that you might have between yourself and the communities that you're trying to work with. Having that time to really learn more in depth is really essential before you go in. And then we also have opportunities to engage. So I'm going to pass this on to Shannon because this is her specialty.
Thank you so much. So yeah, again, in the chat, we saw some interest in ways to get involved, opportunities that might be available that you can kind of get your group members excited about. So we have several things several opportunities that are available. So first, I want to start by kind of differentiating between on-campus versus off-campus opportunities. So we're going to talk a little bit about both here. So in our office, we really emphasize the concept of community, and we want to just ensure that we all have an understanding that community can be both where you are and it can also be beyond campus. So we like to offer as many touch points as we can to cultivate more feelings of community and belonging on campus, and then continuously making those connections off campus. So this first slide here are some of the main opportunities that we have upcoming through our office. We also call ourselves CSER because civic engagement and social responsibility is a long name to say all the time. So some of the opportunities that we have coming up through CSER are a social justice focus group that will be at the end of September. So for this group, we want to take time to meet with various leaders within student organizations, so presidents, vice presidents, or community engagement focused members to share about some of those passions of your group. Talk about those passions, those interests, and ways that you can see yourself wanting to connect with the community. And this can be on or off campus. We also want to take time in this group to identify those social justice topics that you feel strongly about, so that we can try to work and do more work on our end to identify community partners that may be helpful for students. One of the other opportunities that we have available is called the Social Action Collaboratory. This is my baby, my program. So we will be opening an application for participants to sign up this coming Monday. And this is a year-long opportunity for students to do pretty much everything that we just talked about in this presentation. So in the fall semester, we spend a lot of time going through workshops, various educational opportunities to learn about a specific social justice topic. This year, the theme is food sovereignty. So that talks a lot about food access, what that looks like, both for the TU community and the community, Baltimore County, Baltimore City. And then in the spring, students will work directly with an assigned community partner to explore more of that kind of hands-on, tangible work and experiences to support the mission of their partner. Next slide, please. So this is one of our on-campus opportunities. I'm sure you all have heard of this at some point, but we have what's called the Food Share, and this is Towson's initiative to address food insecurity on campus. They offer a lot of different services, both to our students, faculty, and staff, and then they also have some offerings for the outside community. One of the things that they do very well is to provide like food delivery services. So they package bags of food like you see here on the screen, the meal kits, and they allow for people to come pick them up when they are in need. We also have opportunities for students to assist with planning and facilitating information sessions. They do a few of those each semester, and they allow for students who have a passion and a desire to participate, come in and work with the food share staff so that they can kind of co-facilitate those information sessions. They provide support for culinary literacy, also financial literacy, which is a big deal. And so if that's something that your organization focuses on, whether it's food or the finance piece, that's another great way that you can partner with the food share. They also process donations from community partners and from various places on campus. And then there are opportunities just to provide support for any additional programming that may be available. So if this is something that you all are interested in, you can definitely search for the food share online. It'll pop up, or you can reach out to one of us and we can definitely connect you.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about one of our off-campus opportunities. This is something that I have actually experienced myself. It was very wonderful to be a part of. You can see a little bit in the picture, but the scale of it really just doesn't get captured. It's an interactive program where you get to inspire and prepare young people to succeed in a global economy through financial literacy education. And in the picture, you can see different organizations and companies that they feature, and everyone who is a part of it gets to be either the CEO, the COO, the CFO of this company and interact as if they are running this company. So it's really cool to be part of name brand companies that a lot of these students are aware of. They even feature Chick-fil-A. So it really allows for student grades 4 to 6 to understand those various aspects of running a business as they take on the roles of chief executive officer, chief financial officer, as I mentioned. There's even a mayor of the town. It really showcases some of that community building aspects that we talked about for the children who are interacting with this program. So we have a lot of on-campus opportunities, but we also want to feature an off-campus opportunity that we have been personally involved in as well. And with that, we are finishing that more us speaking by ourselves part of this, but we wanted to open this up to any questions that you might have. As Heather said, we do provide workshops where we can come individually to your organization, but if you have any questions that you can think of now, we're also open and available to answer them here.
Thank you so much, Carice and Heather.
And thank you all for coming in and being here. I look forward to see any questions that y'all might have.
I see a question in the chat right now from Naomi about what's the process for having one of us come to a club meeting to talk. That's a great question. So you can see on the thank you slide that Cruz has up right now, that civic engagement at towson.edu email. As of now, you can email through that address and request to get connected and request a workshop on community engagement for your student org. If you have like a typical org meeting day, time, location, please include that information so we're aware. And then one of us will reach back out to set up a time with you to meet individually, discuss what interests your club has, what they're hoping to get out of a session so that we can personalize the content. That's our goal for these sessions. So as we were just together, for the last 30 minutes or so, this is a very general presentation, right? And our hope is that when we meet with individual orgs or in classrooms, we're able to personalize that content a lot more specifically. So Naomi, to your point, just email at civicengagement@towson.edu, and we'll take that first step to meet and find ways to personalize the content more directly. So I hope that answers that question. Are there others about the workshop process? I saw a lot of questions about wanting to find ways to get connected to community organizations. I saw a lot in the chat about figuring out ways to get connected on campus to opportunities, locally to opportunities. I saw a bit about getting folks involved in the org excited about this. So those are all some topics that, you know, we're happy to talk about in more detail. Shannon and I are in the process right now of creating pathways for easier access of understanding some sustained partnerships that our office will have with local community partners. So that's all part of the work that we're doing, and we're happy to talk about that more.
Yeah, I also want to add, kind of going off of that point, Heather, as far as like looking for community engagement opportunities that are available through TU, we have social media accounts. We also have our website where we post a lot of information regularly about those local community engagement opportunities. We will post some about on-campus engagement opportunities. And then we are constantly increasing the list of community partners that we have available for those more general engagement opportunities that you're searching for, as well as opportunities that may align with your organization's passions. So we can definitely kind of put that link in the chat. We can share some information with you all after this is over. We would like for you all to share your email addresses if you're interested in learning a little bit more, and we can send that out and share that with you all. On our Instagram, we post every Friday. It's like a community partner feature. And so we share any opportunities that are upcoming from local organizations because we do as much as we can to support them in getting students out to their site. So those are just some beginning steps that you can take to start engaging with community partners. But again, going back to that piece about like identifying the passions of your group. And then searching for those partnerships and those opportunities that make the most sense.
Mary asked a question in the chat about a link, and I think Chris responded with just the link to our email account for our office. So that's how you'd contact for any follow-up questions or workshop requests. There's another question in the chat. Does Caesar already have some connections with community partners outside of TU? If so, are there any AAPI related partners that can be recommended? That's a great question. So we are currently developing some pathways for community partners. None specifically connected to AIPI related partners come to mind. Shannon, I'm not sure if any come to yours, but what we can do is we can meet with folks directly. So if that's something you're interested in exploring together, we're happy to spend time with you researching local efforts that are happening, finding some connections, and contacts with you. There's also a broader network from a different office here at TU that might also have some connections that we can filter through on our end. So that might be a great opportunity to connect individually with us so that we can build some of those resources together. Shannon, you want to speak to that more directly?
Yeah, I was going to mention campus partner connections as well, but definitely email the civic engagement email. We all see those messages. So if you have like a specific community partner need that you are looking for or hoping to see, that's the kind of information that we're trying to capture because we want to make as many connections with community partners as we can that cover a variety of those passions and those interests. So please email the Civic Engagement email address, and we can definitely set up some time to kind of talk through some of those options and sort of, like Heather said, do a little bit of research to maybe find a community partner that would be a good fit. I see another question in the chat. That is a good question. So a lot of the partnerships that we have are local to Baltimore County, but we are definitely looking to sort of spread our reach as far and wide as possible. So there's no specific requirement for whether they're in the city or the county. We actually encourage partnership with city organizations. If you find an organization that you're interested in working with and you want to kind of talk with Caesar about that a little bit, talking about their mission, talking about what your organization is looking to do with them, we're definitely open to that as well, because we want to make sure that those partnerships are mutually beneficial. So we want to make sure that their mission, is great and solid. We want to make sure that the work that they're going to have you all engaging in is also meaningful and impactful for our students. So that is another way that you all can engage with Caesar to sort of brainstorm those connections that you want to make. That's a really, really great question, and I appreciate that. Any other questions or thoughts? All right. If there are no other questions or thoughts about the presentation, we would like to have you all place your email addresses into the chat if you are interested in learning more information about community engagement and ways to get involved with our office. We can definitely share our website link. We can share our Instagram link so that you all can kind of stay connected with us throughout the year. And then if you have any questions or thoughts that come up after today, feel free to shoot us an email and one of us will get back to you as soon as we can. I think I just saw another question pop up. A great question. So the question in the chat, you guys, is how would you recommend balancing busy student schedules with the amount of community engagement events offered? It's a good question. I'm going to put my student brain on, former student brain on for this. I think my first piece of advice is whenever you kind of intend to engage with any type of event, right? You want to be fully present, you want to be able to commit, and you want to be able to show up in fullness. So I would say to just be mindful of the amount of time that you can commit and how involved you can be. With that being said, if you see like a community engagement opportunity and it has multiple touch points throughout the semester and you know that you're not capable of showing up in that way, I would maybe look for opportunities that are more aligned with the time commitment that you have available. Although we like to shy away from those one-time engagement events, if you see something that has like a once a month obligation or a couple times just through the semester, that may be something more aligned with your ability to participate. And then as your schedule changes each semester or your other commitments aside from your academic schedule change, then maybe you can sign up for things that are more frequent. Our office also does offer some of those more one-time engagement opportunities throughout the semesters. So that's another opportunity for you to start getting involved in different community engagement opportunities. We'll have a huge springtime community engagement event that is very popular. The big event event to be renamed. So that's another way that you can start learning how to get involved in those engagement opportunities if your schedule is just a little too crazy to do something that's a little more regular.
I'm gonna add something else. As someone, when I was a student, I didn't really find myself to be like a leader in community engagement or civic engagement. I didn't find myself to be really a leader in any capacity. But when I began to like broaden my understanding of what it is to be involved in my community as really just being relationship building, like that's at the core of everything that we've been talking about in this session, is that when you're building relationships with your community, you're helping your community out, they're helping you out. It's that mutually beneficial thing that I keep saying like a broken record. But when you are seeing that as the core, you can find ways to incorporate it in things that you're already doing, right? In spaces that you're already in. That's one of the reasons why we emphasize doing it as part of the clubs. But also, if that doesn't work out, when I was a student, I found ways to be a part of my community through paid methods, right? So we offer a few paid opportunities to be involved in your community. There's other offices and other spaces that we can help you with, that can give you that opportunity to get paid while you're doing something that is mutually beneficial. You know, you're getting paid, you're getting involved, you're getting, you know, that education, and you're also getting money that you might need for other things. So finding ways that work best for you, whether it's that 1 month of commitment like Shannon was talking about earlier, or if it's more continuous, but it's you're getting money while you're doing it, finding different ways to just broaden your perspectives of what getting engaged in your community might look like, while also fulfilling your other needs, right? Because we want it to be something that is exciting and engaging for you as well. Make it about something that you actually care about and you're already thinking about and you're already doing stuff about. Make it, you know, a way that you can actually get paid. You know, find different ways to help it align with your own goals, because we want you to be a well-rounded human, and those are the ways to do it.
We also had an additional question in the chat about how to get members of your orgs excited to get engaged, like excited to be participating in some community engagement. And that's a great question. It's one that we're also exploring as a team this fall. But some things that I think to bring back up from our session earlier with the slides, starting the conversation off, kind of what Chris was saying in this last answer, with what are passions among the participants of our orgs, right? Like, I think, you know, the AAPI related partners, like, I'm assuming that stems back to the group, right? Like, this is AAPI Student Association, like this idea of what are passions that connect us all together? Why are we sharing space together? Going back to what makes the student org a community itself, right? And from there, I think we love to, you know, come in, have that conversation with folks, and kind of see like what stems out of those passions of activities already going on within the larger Towson, Baltimore County, Baltimore City community, right? And so if that looks like, you know, literacy rates, food access, like whatever is bringing your communities together, how can we find ways to do that, right? We saw a lot of dance groups listed earlier, right? Like there's so many great opportunities to get connected with, you know, movement as therapy or after school enrichment activities. Like there's going to be so many awesome opportunities to get connected to tasks that are already happening in our communities that connect to the passions that your participants have. So we're excited to hear some of that from folks when they reach out to us, or if you need us to help in having that conversation happen in your org, we're also happy to do that. So I hope that helps kind of as a gateway to a broader conversation there.
I also wanted to add to that, you know, taking the conversation to your group. is really helpful because some of your group members may already be involved with an organization, and there may be an opportunity for your group to kind of start building that relationship. A lot of times we see that students that come to our office to engage in our different programs, they're already working with a student group. Or they're already a part of a fraternity or sorority, right? So there are a lot of like intersections of connectivity with these types of community partners, engagement opportunities. And so just kind of having an open discussion with your organization to say, what are your interests? Is anyone currently working in a way that connects us to a local organization, and then exploring some of those opportunities as well. So just having like an open conversation typically gets people excited because people love talking about the things that they enjoy. They love sharing about their passions. And oftentimes you'll find that you have kind of one foot in the door already through some of your organization members. Carice, I saw you unmute. Did you want to add something?
I mean, I was just going to emphasize that people love to be a part of the conversation. And if you have a personal stake in it, just like what Shannon already said, which is why I was like, yeah, Shannon's got it. She's on a roll. But yeah, when you feel like you are the one who helped make the decision, you're way more like you're already way more engaged. You're already way more invested. So yeah, having that open conversation, like Shannon said, is key to making, helping people get more engaged and excited, because it's like, I was part of the decision. I helped create this. I helped, who doesn't want to be a part of something that they were the, at the spear front or whatever for this initiative. It's a really great way to collaborate and co-create the future that you want to see.
Thank you so much for that, Carice. That was a perfect add-on. All right, so it looks like we have just a few minutes left. Are there any other questions or thoughts that you all want to share before we close out for the day? I also saw that Carice put the link to both our website and our Instagram in the chat, so you guys can feel free to kind of grab those and have those available for use after this session. Also, a quick Google search will bring up civic engagement. Just type civic engagement Towson, will pop right up. You guys can kind of explore some of the offerings that we have on our website, and then also find our contact information if you guys want to reach out directly with any questions or needs. No, there is no sign-in link. We will be able to see all of the list of participants to share with Chris later on.
Thank you all. And I'm going to say again, our website was just redesigned. It's so pretty. Please go to it because we put so much work into it. So much better. So if you went and saw it last year, no, you didn't. It's this year. Yeah, but please come find us, come visit our office. We have good energy. Yeah. Thank you so much for putting your email in the chat.
Yes, and we're University Union 252. We have a lot of fun, exciting things on our walls to see. We have opportunities for lunching. Yeah, so please stop by.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
We have the
thank
oil
you guys so much.
diffuser.
Oh, got it. Thank you guys so much for sharing your emails in the chat. We will be sure to reach out to you guys.
I'm gonna stop recording now.
Cool.